Good evening, everybody, and welcome back.
Good evening.
How you doing? You just got done with doing a pretty serious marathon over on Backloggery.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it was a little serious. I see a little bit of the side of Discord in my capture there.
Oh, oh, I don't know
Let me.
why it would be. That's weird. There, that might be
Oh,
better now. Either way.
but yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we both had a little bit of a crazy weekend.
Yeah. I mean, you were raising money for Backloggery, like the server cost. Basically, you do it like one time a year, right?
Yeah. Well, we missed last year,
Really?
but yeah, we did. I don't think we did a marathon at all last year. Actually, not even a charity one. I think the last marathon we did was a charity one. It may have not been last year, or if it was early last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's
I,
been a
I was
while.
not thinking about that.
But it's been a while since we did a site one because Drum, the new version of the site was so far out that he kind of felt bad asking for anything.
Yeah. It,
And the timing just didn't work out. But he's really close to finishing it now. So um he's kind of taking time off from his his side gig to uh, to focus full time on working on finishing the new version of the site.
that's pretty
So
huge.
so the fundraiser was also in part for that. Um,
That's fun.
but
And you were doing like another. You're gonna try and beat as many games as you possibly
yeah, it was
can.
just a beat-a-thon. That's what we've started doing on the backlogger marathons is the charity fundraisers have like a theme, like we might co-op a specific game or something like that. Whereas the site fundraiser marathons are just a beat-a-thon, similar to what we were doing for our extra life marathon in November.
Hmm.
Just try to beat as many games. I mean, not I mean, specifically games we have not beaten before. Games on our backlog.
Right.
So I beat 4 games, and we didn't do 24 hours. We did, we went to bed. We did 10 to 11 or so yesterday. 10 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Hmm.
And then today we did 10 a.m. to 6:30. So fair bit of time, but not overnight, so not ultra crazy.
Right.
But I ended up being 4 games yesterday. I beat Do Re Mi Fantasy, which was super good, like really good. Like we both were playing it for a while, and then Drum decided he was going to finish it on his own time some other time. But we were really confused on World Two because you have to like collect all of these stars, and we were confused by the way the world map was marked because a star appears on the world map, and at first we thought those were the levels that we got the star in.
Hmm.
But the levels that don't show a star are the levels that still have a star in them. So, or no. Well, I said it backwards, but whatever. We were confused. And that's once we figured that out. It was a pretty substantial game, but it was really good. But it did take a little time.
Yeah, I remember it taking me
Um,
like several nights.
oh, so you've beaten it too?
Yeah, I beat it on Virtual Console.
Yeah. And then I beat Dragon Egg, which was easy and short, but the last boss was a little bit of trouble because uh it's infinite continues and you continue on bosses. So there
Uh,
was no way to like go back and power up my dragon again. I mean, once you lost everything, it's lost. So
right.
I had to, whack a dragon or the boss with on his head, very close range with an egg. It
Oh,
was
jeez.
it was it, it was a little tough, but I got through it. Then today I beat um, uh, Legend of the Valkyrie,
Hmm. That's a good
which
one.
was awesome.
I mean,
Which was awesome.
and I have streamed that before, but I never finished it. I mean, do you understand how to beat it? Like,
Yeah,
because I
well, the
remember
big
Jimmy was telling you like you can break the game pretty early on.
he said that in level 3 there's some weapon or something that you can get that makes the rest of the game really easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure exactly what he was talking about, but in level 3 I got something called the big spell. Did you ever get the big spell?
No, I mean I haven't finished it, so I don't know.
I don't know if that's what he was talking about, but there's this thing that where you get like you become a giant pixel Valkyrie, and you just jump up and down and cause like huge damage to all the enemies, and it lasts for a while, and it's awesome. And it even works on flying enemies, which surprised me. But it was great. I really liked the game. I beat that boss that you were having a lot of trouble with on level 4. I beat him on my first try with the big spell.
Oh,
so
well.
that might have been what Jimmy was talking about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so maybe I'll have to.
Yeah, it was easy to get. You take the first right, and then there's a hole up above, and I think it's answer B. And you get the big spell.
I see. So
it's pretty easy. And then I beat Karnov.
I think I watched a little bit when you were playing it, and you're having trouble with a specific boss that I had trouble with, but then you told me like some secret trick or something, but you couldn't quite remember.
The boomerang is really powerful, but it's just so awkward to use because you have to like every time you move your character, like it changes the cursor on the item select, which makes it very difficult to use special items.
Yes.
But it's not a bad game. It's kind of a poorly made game, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was worth playing. It's ultimately not that hard.
Well, I mean, it's still you've beaten Karnov now.
We've both beaten Karnov. I also started Euphoria. That was the first thing I did, actually, mostly just because of logistical reasons.
And at first you were kind of thinking, before this weekend, you were saying, I'll just like clean up any unfinished business during the stream, because it's like, it was technically your week, but then you're like, I don't really feel like doing it. So maybe you'll do Euphoria next week.
I was thinking about maybe continuing Euphoria next week. I was kind of stuck and not sure where to go.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, so you had a little crazy weekend too.
Well, I mean, I went up to the Columbus, Ohio Retro Gaming Society show with my friend Joey, who's like been on the stream. I think he played Kadash with me.
Some bad dudes, I think.
And bad dudes, yeah. He's the one that has all the. Looking like my audio is a little low, so I'm just turning it up for everybody. A teeny bit. There we go. We can just get a little bit louder with that. Yeah, so we went up there, and I was kind of going into it with the mindset of not buying anything because thanks to Arcade Legacy, which is the local game shop and arcade in and around Cincinnati, he had a fairly large trade-in, and I kind of had an opportunity to buy something that I guess is
like your it's like your last big like.
It was like some unfinished business, I guess, like something that I needed to correct a bad thing that I decided to do.
In your past.
Yeah, 12 years ago. So I had an opportunity to get it for a price that's still like way up there, but this is like the best chance I would ever have, essentially. So I ended up with this.
And you say it looks like it's like never been played.
It looks like it's never been played. I mean, for the record, I had this game. I mean, I got it the day it came out.
You got it day one.
I got it day one. And I was kind of going through, I was explaining earlier to you that I was having fun going through some old, like my old like PayPal history. And I was kind of seeing what other things I could see based on, like that same time period where I sold that and plus a little bit before, because that's when I sold a lot of my games to help raise money so that I can move to New York City. And some of these things are kind of crazy, but it turned out that I sold this like well after I'd moved to New York. You know, it was, you know, I'd been there for a year and a half at that point. And I sold this on August 23rd, 2006 for $90.
That was my birthday.
Yeah. August 23rd is your birthday. Like, how did I not know that? Either way, but I mean, how old did you turn on 12 years ago? I mean, you would have been 20? 21? Your 21st birthday I sold it on, maybe?
No, that would have been 22.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I was kind of going through, like I ended up with that. And at the actual show, I wasn't planning on buying anything, but there's this one table that had all these Mega Drive games. And it just really got me thinking about, I was just really appreciating how awesome the Mega Drive covers were. So he had a box of stuff that was not out, the person who was selling all this stuff. And in that box was Japanese Dick Tracy for the Genesis, which is something I've been like wanted to get for a long time.
You wanted to get the American one.
I wanted to get the American version, but you know, I kind of got it as like the American version is like $30, like in really bad shape. And they had this one in there, and it was immaculate. Like it was in great shape. I mean, it was $20. And I looked at the back, and it showed all these screenshots of the cutscenes, and I'm like, it's all in English. And then I get it home and I played it, and it's like, as far as I can tell, like the entire game is in English.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
now that's kind of interesting that the Japanese version was less, because I don't know a whole lot about Mega Drive importing, but you know, because the system was less popular in Japan, I've kind of had the assumption that that Japanese versions can at times be more expensive than American versions.
Yeah, I mean, there was some that were surprising. I think, you know, the biggest bummer, like even I knew since I was buying this Snatcher, like I can't spend any more money. Like I can't spend any money at this thing. And this thing was $20, like it was worth it. The other thing that I ended up buying was Police Knots for the Saturn. Because, you know, I just wanted to have it so that I can go ahead and play like the English version on off my Phoebe.
Mm-hmm.
But
it makes you feel more motivated to play it.
Yes, yeah, now I do. And you know, when I was buying Snatcher, it only made sense. It goes hand in hand with that, you know. Yeah. So that's like what I ended up coming home with. There was a point, you know, where I was on that table of Mega Drive games. This is like I've been thinking about this, and like it was very frustrating at the time, because like I was like ready to spend this much more money in the moment. So I was like, oh, what do I want to get here? And I saw like, you know, Wonder Boy and Monster World, which is Wonder Boy 5, Monster World 3 in Japan. I'm like, you know, I'd just like to buy that just to kind of have it because I love the game so much. And I also saw like a Wonder Boy. I saw Monster Lair, Wonder Boy 3. I'm like, I should get that just because, you know, like it didn't get a U.S. release, and I might as well have it. And I look over.
Are these your first Mega Drive games?
Yes. You know, I was gonna buy that. You know, I was like, this is like before I saw the Dick Tracy, and I saw. I looked up a little bit. I'm like, I saw Monster World 4, and I'm like, well, and it had a $120 price tag on it, and I'm like, well, I guess, you know what, I want it really bad.
That's not too bad of a deal.
No. So I pick it up in my hand. I look at it. I open it. It's a Japanese case. Open it up. Japanese manual. Japanese cartridge. And the guy who's running the booth goes, "Oh, check it out. That one's in English."
Which would be cool, but not worth.
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, do you know I mean, if it's obviously a, you know, like a repro inside of it, which is okay. It would be okay if it wasn't $120.
Right.
If it was half that, like I would be like, okay, especially if it was, you know, the
original box.
Well, yeah, it was the original box and
Original shell.
cartridge shell and manual, but it had the virtual console translation on it.
Yeah,
Like
that would be worth it for half the price, but
right.
you can't sell it for the price of an unmodified original.
Right, and I think
You just can't.
I think that the guy who was running the booth expected me to be like really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I guess I don't want it then. And he's like, what? Because you know he had like a lot of other ones that were, Japanese games like what is the Japanese version of Crusader or Senti? Like he had that, and it's just like in English, and it's just like, even if he had, especially like it would be really worth it if he had like the Repro PCB in there with the English version, and the Japanese version. I'm like, well, do you still have the Japanese, like the PCB? And he's like, no, I got it from somebody else.
Now you're sure that this is the Japanese PCB?
Well, you can tell the PCB like on these ones are a little bit thinner than the ones that are than the. And it wouldn't be worth it to like even do an English version. I'm gonna start the game because I feel like I've been going on for too long.
Oh, that's fine.
I've been wanting to play this for a while. I
know very little about Dick Tracy.
Just like the character. I mean, I don't really like. I basically know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep it on normal, but I'm gonna crank up my continues to the maximum, which is 5. It's like the cartridge is in the system, so I can show it later. I'm probably not gonna open it up or anything. I mean, I feel good. I mean, it says source codes 1990 Sega of America, but I think that they just, it's the same game. Because believe it or not, this is a Marc Cerny game.
Oh, well, so it is. I mean, Sega of America would make sense if it was made in America.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume it was made in America if Marc Cerny directed. Of course, Knack is made in Japan, and Marc Cerny directed that.
So it's pretty cool. Like, it's kind of a cool gameplay. If you've never seen it in action, it's like a typical, like, you walk and you shoot, but there's people in the background, and you pressing C shoots the background.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, does the real Dick Tracy just mow people down?
I mean in the movie that this is based on.
Does he?
I don't think he has too much of a problem with it.
I mean, I don't know what kind of personality he is.
I mean, like I said, I only know it based on like the Warren Beatty movie from 1990, which I actually did spend some time today because I saw that movie in the theater when it came out, but I didn't remember too much about it. It just like has some really like, crazy and weird bad guys, like main villains. They're all like kind of grotesque and deformed in different ways. Like there's this one guy named Flat Top, who's the top of his head is completely flat. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like I don't remember when the actual comic series ran.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Dick Tracy is kind of interesting because he's a character that everyone knows, but I also feel like he's not particularly popular.
I mean, I think there's a point where he's popular, but I don't really know. I don't know how well known he is now. Everyone has to let him know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe kids today wouldn't know. I mean, but I mean, I knew, and I don't think he was particularly popular.
Well, you probably knew because the movie came out in 1990.
That's probably why.
Which kind of.
Because I mean, I've definitely seen it in passing on TV. Like I've seen, like, just snippets of it. I've not seriously watched it at all.
Right. Conveniently runs out of bullets at level 2. I looked at this. This game is bullets. It's 6 levels long, and there's.
Well, it's pretty short.
But there's 3 levels per 3 scenes.
So Dick Tracy made its debut in 1931.
Yeah. So I mean, he is kind of well known because he has this watch that it has a like a radio in it where you can talk to people. It has a walkie-talkie now. People throwing grenades.
Apparently, it was originally called Plainclothes Tracy.
Really?
Which is funny because I mean, you know, you look at him and like that looks like a stereotypical detective of what we think about now, you know,
right?
Trench coat and hat.
Yeah.
You know, to us, we wouldn't really think of that as plain clothes because he's like shouting like I'm a detective, but you know, maybe Dick Tracy made the stereotype. I'm not real clear on that history.
Right. I mean, it's kind of challenging. Oh.
There was a cartoon from 61 to 62. There's a 1945 film.
So I mean, I thought it'd be fun to play something Genesis based too, especially since we just released a video, and this is like not on that compilation. Jeez. The reaction to this new episode, I mean, it did a lot better, like numbers wise, than I kind of expected.
Yeah, it did do good.
And it's good because, you know, like I
haven't seen the let me check the
it was like 26,000 I think last time I looked, which is, you know, past the 3DO thing pretty quick. Oh, he doesn't even see me there.
Yeah, I mean there definitely seemed to be some interest, and it was an easier thing for you to make, even though it was.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I kind of went on because the size of the episode actually increased pretty significantly throughout the production. Like I added a whole bunch of stuff.
I saw there was one comment disappointed that you didn't talk about the GBA version of Sonic.
Right.
Which you actually edited a segment on it because you thought it was hilarious how bad it is.
Yes.
But you later decided it didn't fit the rules of the episode, which was about compilations.
Right. Yeah. And I didn't even like think about that until, I mean, I had actually recorded a bunch of stuff for the Christian Whitehead stuff too, who you know did the iOS ports and stuff. So
they're kind of one-offs.
Right. I mean, they're not. I don't know how I get that guy without.
There was a little sync drop on the game briefly.
Oh, really?
There was a little loading. I mean, it didn't go black, but there was a little loading circle on the screen briefly.
Huh. I guess we'll. Hopefully, it's not an issue. I feel like it could actually be a bit more challenging than I was expecting. I used to continue right now, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have just restarted.
Oh,
it's okay though.
You're only on 1B.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have expected it to be fairly difficult. I mean, you know, Genesis action games, you know, they're no cakewalk.
Yeah, it's a pretty early game too. But yeah, I'm glad that people enjoy the new episode. Jeez. Oh, at least there's checkpoints. But I mean, that's kind of something that I've been thinking about for a long time. I like the idea of like doing episodes like that where we can kind of take something that's relatively modern and like use that to kind of springboard into like other like
topics.
Yeah, like another topic. Yeah. I mean, one thing I want to do is I really want to do something that's like similar to that on like all the Mega Man compilations out there. So
we're obviously going to do an episode on the Dreamcast. I assume you're talking to RGB, of course, but sooner than that, actually, probably in the next month or so, we're probably going to make an episode about the GDMU for the Dreamcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, not RGB, but Dreamcast RGB episode absolutely will come. The thing that scares me with that are just like the sheer amount um, of VGA options out there. Like,
Right.
especially like getting our hands on like the official VGA, and two, like that retro bit VGA stuff is supposed to be coming soonish, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I'm not sure exactly what the release is on those. I wonder if I have to keep on moving forward.
Something got turned wrong on my monitor.
I mean, it's kind of interesting that, you know, you have you shoot into the background. It makes it almost 3D without being 3D, you know?
Yeah, it's an interesting touch.
See someone asking about the Xbox RGB, and I think that's going to happen. It's just like we don't know exactly when it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, an ultra high priority because, I mean, I don't know if there's anything happening in that scene really in terms of new options or anything. I don't know.
I got him. This case is gonna blow up in your face, copper.
Well, I mean, any system that you can reasonably think of. I mean, we absolutely intend to do.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Oh, wait, is it C? Oh, I see. It's A, B, and C here. Oh. Oh, shot the kid. I hit 3 good guys. Whoops. So yeah. I mean, it's generally. I mean, as far as I know, it seems exactly the same as the American version. I can't imagine it being any different, really.
Yeah, it makes sense, I guess. I mean, it's sort of a American themed game, I guess.
Yeah. So I was kind of talking earlier to try about my idea of I guess I should preface this a little bit. Based on like the different projects we have going on, and the amount of like freelance stuff that I have going on, like it's not like a ton of stuff, but I mean, I am now like, I'm officially, as of tomorrow, my kids have daycare every day, so I'm officially like gonna be doing stuff like the show and other stuff like full time. Like I'm not gonna have to worry about juggling, you know, a child care schedule throughout the week. So it's gonna become more of a like a real job, I guess, than it has been for the last couple of years. So I'm just thinking about like different things I can do for the show, you know, during that time. And I was thinking about like it might be fun to do like a bonus stream like during my lunch break each day, because I'm gonna try to make my day conform to as much of a schedule as I can. But I mean, doing stuff like that means I can like go to the gym when I need to, like, and I can, you know, work as much as I need to, and I can have time in the evenings to spend with my family without. I guess up until now, it's been, I basically had 2 days to work on the show, and then I would have to spend the evening like working on the show as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it just becomes the amount of options that I have are greatly increased, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
I'm just excited about it. When is the next video coming out for RGB? Hopefully before too many games. I mean, it's going to be, I think the last time you looked, it was like 46 minutes, like the string out.
Yeah, I actually just opened the project because something's weird about. Maybe it'll fix itself when I restart my computer. I don't know. Something's weird with the black levels on my TV. Since I changed how some things were wired up for the marathon, and so I think something's funky about my computer settings. Because I noticed that because I noticed right away when I open up Premiere and the colors in the program were like wrong.
Right. But it should be.
Yeah, it's a 46-minute string out, and it's it's gonna be interesting putting it together for sure.
Yeah. And in the meantime, because I have this extra time, I mean, I have 3 freelance projects this week, but hopefully it won't take as much time as I think it will. Like, I don't think it's going to take a lot of time. Like, a lot of the stuff. Whoa, oh, cool. I can get on top of it to, like, dodge out of the way. That's pretty cool. I mean, my goal is to try to be, like, do as many episodes as I can, like, in the time that I have. I think that it's just going to be a little bit easier than it has been, but I mean, like, especially if you have this big episode you're working on, then I can get more stuff out,
Right. I hope I can finish it before too many games.
That's the brow.
I'm probably gonna have to work on work projects and a freelance project Monday and Tuesday, but hopefully I'll, get back into it Tuesday or Wednesday and can focus pretty well on it. I'm just glad that I've got strung out,
Right.
Because that lets me, it kind of just lets me attack at full speed, I guess. Because sometimes, that can be a slow process, especially like picking the music and stuff. Like,
oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's just like, I kept going through phases with this episode where I was like feeling really inspired with, a certain piece of music. And then I just like the next section, I was like, man, I don't even know. Let me see if I can tell you what kind of tunes to look forward to in this. I've got let's see. There's 3 Final Fantasy games featured in this. 2 of which a lot of people in here probably have no interest in, but one of which I have limited interest in, which is 15. But the problem is, like, a lot of the times, I mean, again, this 4K episode is a mixture of retro and modern stuff.
Right.
I mean, and let's be honest. AAA games don't often these days have particularly memorable music.
Yes.
It's just a lot of orchestral and stuff that's meant to fit the scene, but it's nothing that's like really intended to stand out on its own,
Yeah.
And so it's Gravity Rush and Final Fantasy 15 were 2 of the games that I was like, well, I think I can pull something from this that, Final Fantasy 15 soundtrack is a little weak, but it's still, you know, I was able to pull something more likely pull something from that than, you know, Tomb Raider or something, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, but you know, I'm trying to pick games generally when I'm talking about 4K or HDR that might have those features.
Mm-hmm.
I played a little loose with that in certain situations, but because I just had a lack of music. But we've got let's see, here's my music folder. I got 3D. Well, no, I didn't do this. I really want to put 3D Dot Game Heroes in there, but I couldn't make the piece that I was trying to use feel like it fit. I tried to include Deadly Premonition, couldn't make it work. I was going to put Dragon's Trap in, but I didn't do that. But we do have Final Fantasy 6, 14, and 15.
Oh.
We've got Gravity Rush 2, which is actually a new version of a tune from.
Oh, you can earn credits. Awesome! You earn continues by doing good on the bonus stages.
Oh.
So that's kind of big.
Yeah, Naughty Dog games do have good soundtracks, but I've already used Uncharted, like the main theme from Uncharted. So Uncharted 3, I think, has the best soundtrack. It's like Uncharted 3 is like the weakest entry, but I think it has the best soundtrack. But I didn't really consider anything from that. Oh, I've got some music in there from Hot Shots Golf Open T.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I really like the music in that game. Caro Blaster, which I streamed a few weeks ago, that the main theme from that game, or I say the main theme, like the music that plays in the first level and the beginning of the last level is really good. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which is not one of my favorite Kirby games, but it does have a pretty good soundtrack. I was going to put Kirby's Return to Dreamland in, which is a game I like much more, but couldn't make the tune I wanted to use work. I've got some Persona 4 in there, which I'm really proud of how that track works with the part of the video. I got some Puyo Puyo Tetris in there.
Oh.
I have a track from Red Dead Redemption in there, which is actually pretty weak. I might see if I can pick something else for that section.
Oh man.
I was trying to pick something for the Xbox One backwards compatibility section. I was really struggling. Rock and I Adventures is in there. Shantae Half Genie Hero, Sonic Generations, Super Mario Odyssey, Tetris Attack. I think that's it. Man, the rooftop run or whatever it's called in Sonic Generations is like so unbelievably good. Like that music, like it's from Sonic Unleashed.
Oh, it's like the first level, like the city, city level.
Well, I don't know. I looked up the Sonic Unleashed soundtrack and it looked like it was further into the soundtrack. So I thought it might have been more like midway through the game.
Well, I mean, through that game it would be, but in actual Sonic Unleashed, it's in the beginning of the game.
Right, but I looked up the Sonic Unleashed soundtrack to figure out like was it like early in the game or what?
Oh.
It looked like it might have been midway, but I don't know. Maybe it is the beginning. But it's such a good track. I think it's just called Rooftop Run in Sonic Generations, but it's from.
And I've never played Unleashed. I just remember it. I do remember the stage that is inspired from. I mean,
yeah, it's like
I remember seeing pictures of it.
I mean, I'm not a Sonic fan at all, but it was. I thought that was by far the highlight of Sonic Generations because it's just the music and the feel of the look of the city and the atmosphere and all.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. Like it's a freaking great tune. Any thoughts on a remaster of Spyro? That's something that's been confirmed, is it?
Yeah, it has been. I
Oh,
keep on
has it?
forgetting that you have not been on Twitter barely at all anymore. I didn't realize that even on your personal account you have not tweeted in almost a year.
I don't think maybe it's just October or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything really intentional. It was just kind of a lack of time, and then I was like, oh, I guess I don't really use Twitter much anymore.
Oh,
I
just
just, I think I just really blacked out on it when I got working heavily on a couple of projects, and then I just didn't get back in the habit of really checking it again.
Right. That's good though. I mean,
yeah,
really.
in some ways it is. I mean, maybe I'll get back into it someday, but it just I feel bad because there's a lot of people that I feel like I've kind of lost touch with, where that was my main way of talking to them,
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, I guess, freeing in other ways. But,
right. Jeez, this is only halfway through. I'm kind of amazed that it's as difficult as it is. Whatever. If it's really hard, then I'm. Jeez, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not above putting on easy if I have to, especially if I know that I can earn continues. Then I'll put on easy and go with 3 continues.
Well, someone's saying that Rooftop Run was in the Sonic Unleashed demo, so maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah, that'd be it probably.
Yeah, I kind of want to play it just because of that song. Yeah, I was talking to John about it, and he said it was kind of internally almost a Sonic Adventure 3, because he said again, I'm not very knowledgeable about Sonic, but he said it's kind of the last big budget feeling Sonic.
No. I thought Generations felt big budget. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but he's saying he feels like it was the last time that they really feel like they tried to go all in on 3D Sonic, but
yeah,
maybe missed the mark.
Speaking of budget, I mean, I saw someone kind of mention it on Twitter earlier, saying oh, I hope that we got got the big bucks from Sega to cover the new collection, because believe it or not, the advertising for it is kind of crazy.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know that they've been giving people copies to stream it, including money for sponsorships and stuff like that. It's crazy, but I want to be known right now that I actually went to them and said, hey, I want to do a video on this. I'd like to get it done reasonably close. I mean, I had it pre-ordered anyways, because I wanted to do this video. And once I saw some people were covering it already, I said, well, if I want to be able to make a video to be out in a reasonable amount of time to, at least compete with the other people's videos, I should see if I can get a hold of them. And it was not an offer or anything. They did not come to us say hey, will you cover this game? I said, I want to cover it because I want to do this video about how it compares to other things. But if it was a while after it already came out, less people would be interested, I guess.
Right.
So it was just
it gave you the time to sort of figure out your thoughts on the emulation and the scaling.
I mean, it was
all
still
that ahead of release.
Right, and I mean, it was it's still 3 days after the game actually released. I mean, if I
but you had the time to get that far ahead at least.
Right. I mean, it remains to be seen. I mean, I think that I pointed out things that maybe no
one else would.
No one else really would, and I'm not sure if that like bodes well. Like if they're if they're gonna be like,
They're
we're never
probably
gonna. Well, I mean, sure. I mean, like they probably don't.
Hit. But, uh, but yeah,
I'm gonna put it on easy because I'm like getting killed here. Hopefully no one cares.
I mean, I had no idea that they were pushing it that hard, but it's interesting that they were that confident in it, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting that they like were pushing it really hard, and I think it's fine. I mean, I think it's fine. Like it's certainly in no way like poorly done. I mean, it does.
It's clearly made on a budget, though.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that it's great for people who don't have a system to play on. It's like for $30 you really can't go wrong, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably one of the more, I mean, certainly one of the more convenient ways to play the games.
Yeah. But I mean,
the scaling is very flawed, but for the most part workable.
Yeah. It's more the audio issues that were a problem for me. But yeah. I mean, like I just want everybody to know that like they did not like approach us, and it's like I do kind of feel like we point out stuff that they'll probably be like, we're not going to send these guys anything ever again. Sometimes, which is fine. Like if that's the way it's going to go, like that's okay. I mean, I feel like there was a point where I was trying to get in that same position with Nintendo when the NES Classic came out. And like I would like to cover stuff like if it made sense for us, just kind of like get like a line of communication going.
Yeah, maybe if they do an N64 Classic, maybe we should try to get in on that.
Yeah, well, I mean
that would be a lot of fun for me to do.
Right, but I think that if there was like a line of communication going, and then that. It kind of stopped when our NES Classic video came out, because I felt like maybe it went into some like problems with it that like I guess nobody else was really talking about.
Right.
And it's like, but I don't know. Like that could be.
But
just
they fixed most of the problems with the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I mean, the main thing is the interpolation works. Although they kind of screwed up the scan lines thing on the Super Nintendo.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, the Super Nintendo is a lot better. The Super Nintendo Classic is a lot better than the NES Classic, I think. Just the little things they fixed. The fact that the noise is there is a weird thing, but
right. But I don't know. Like, I mean, if it turns out that like people don't want to send us stuff like that because we're gonna point out things that like maybe other people aren't going to, like I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I think I kind of get the impression that there's a lot of respect for like Digital Foundry's type of analysis from the publishers and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, they've kind of earned their respect.
Yeah. And I guess that's something that we would like to aspire to.
What's so funny though is I don't know if there's been any comments like this on the new video, because I haven't really had a chance to check things out this weekend. But every once in a while we get comments that are like, geez, these guys are whining so much about retro graphics. It's like, whining? Like,
yeah,
that's not the way I would put it at all. Like I don't care if you only play in RF. Like, maybe I want to play in RF every now and then just for the feel of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. I'm more fascinated by what's possible.
Right. And I think there was kind of a little thread in the comments about how like about the terminology of review, the word review. Like we
didn't call it a review.
Right. And like a lot, like people are just going to call it that, even though like we kind of intentionally go out of our way to not call things reviews. Like we'd rather show it what it is and like what it
it
does.
is, and tell you what it is from our perspective.
Yes, and then.
But that's not to say we don't have any opinion in it, but it's we just kind of look at things in a way that is hopefully relatively unique, and we aren't we just don't have any interest in saying like, oh, this is trash, this is garbage, you should stay away from this. I mean, sometimes we do, but at the end, we don't go into things with a super critical mindset. We just say, hey, this is what it is. Here are the problems, and here's the good points. But yeah, we don't think of our stuff as review. But there was a comment about oh, great review, and then we thought this guy was like tearing into us, saying like, what? This was no review. He's like, where was the opinion? Coury didn't have the guts to say anything bad about it. I'm thinking, like, Coury pointed out a lot of issues.
Yeah.
He pointed out plenty of issues in it. And he's like, this is really just a description of what it is. And then like later in the chain, like it turned out that he was like kind of just getting on the guy's case for calling it a review.
Right.
He didn't mind that it wasn't a review.
No.
Like, but it was confusing because it looked like he was like tearing into us for like having this like not super critical review.
Right.
But it's like, it's okay for people to call it review because that's an easy word. In fact, like if I'm reaching out to someone and you may have done this with Sega, if I'm reaching out to someone to see if, I might get my hands on something that would be otherwise difficult to get my hands on to include in a video, I will say review because that's just a word people understand.
Right.
Yeah, that was your comment, Smoke Monster. we thought it was funny. We thought it was.
But it's like kind of going on. Like we were both, like all of us were in it. Like the thread was fairly long, I guess.
Yeah, I was starting to reply. Like I wrote up like a super long reply, but maybe a 3-paragraph reply, and then Coury was like, "Man, this thread on the Smoke Monster comments got crazy." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm replying to it right now." He's like, "Well, check what I wrote before you reply," and I'm like, "Oh, you said basically what I said, but a lot simpler."
Yeah. New credits 4. One mistake, 2 credits. So you get like I guess got like 2 continues. So interesting. That's. But yeah, I mean, like I think that it's just good for us to kind of take that approach because I think it just makes more sense. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of it comes down to, a lot of times we do like to talk about things that we're like the most excited about. That we're like excited to talk about.
Exactly. Like I don't want to waste my time making a video on something that I don't think I'm going to be interested in.
Right.
I mean, it's just not. People. I don't think are itching for my opinion on a bunch of garbage stuff. If I'm going to take my time looking at,
and nobody wants to hear it.
Maybe it will be garbage, but I'll at least be interested in looking at it in the first place.
Yeah. You're not going to hear like rants from us.
No.
Because it's not something we have any interest in doing. I guess that's why we prefer the. I mean, like I guess like the closest thing, like when I had that section about the Sonic Genesis for the Game Boy Advance, I'm like, I don't think they could do this like worse if they really tried. Like it's pretty atrocious. I mean, it's I should send you the segment. I don't know if I still have it or if I just like deleted it completely. But I mean, I'm sure anybody in the chat that has played the Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis on the Game Boy Advance can like understands just how bad it is. Like it is really, really bad.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to be making videos about Fortnite.
Yeah.
We don't really have like,
And I don't think anybody wants to hear
extraordinarily. We have extraordinarily limited interest in like multiplayer type games, I feel.
Yeah, although we did had some fun playing, you know, like the multiplayer and the collection. And you know, like I know that Jim Sterling released a video where he was like really hated the multiplayer. And I think that the multiplayer, like it's not great. It is certainly like there's like lag and
I
it's
still feel like it's kind of a miracle it works at all though, because I mean these games were never designed to work that way, and unless you made it like a full port, like what do you expect?
Well, yeah, but I mean I think that it being like promoted as like a big feature on it, like I can understand like people's frustrations with it. I mean, like we had lag, and I don't think it was due to the network, because I literally think that we were the only people on Xbox Live trying to play it at that time, because we did like, you know, just like general matchmaking where we searched for people because we couldn't get the you know, the friend invites to work, and it like matched us up twice in a row with each other. So I think we were the only people out there trying it. But I mean, it pauses every once in a while, and like I think that I don't think that the fast forward and rewind features even work in, because I know that was like a big thing that Jim Sterling was saying, is that, you know, sometimes you just like warp around the screen, and he thinks that only the first player could do the rewind and fast forward. But I don't think that the rewind even works in like online. But I mean, I'm not sure if anybody in the chat who has played it online since then can confirm that, because I remember trying it and it not working.
Well, of course, and not to say we don't like multiplayer games. I mean, I more mean competitive multiplayer.
Right. I mean,
like, you know, like Mario Kart is about the only thing I really get it. I mean, Nintendo competitive games in general, I have limited interest in. You know, I got Splatoon and Splatoon 2, and I played them for a while, but you know, I lose interest in that kind of stuff relatively quickly. You know, but co-op stuff, you know, I love co-op stuff, and I would like to play more modern co-op. It's just I've had a lack of time for it, I guess. You know, Resident Evil 5 is, you know, some of the most fun co-op.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely like playing co-op, and I have too. I mean, ever since
I like playing retro co-op. You know,
yeah.
I play that quite a bit these days, actually. But competitive stuff, I don't have any interest. Even back in the day, like with, you know, original Smash Brothers and GoldenEye and stuff, like any game that let me and my friends play against bots instead of each other, like those ended up being our go-to modes. Like just a lot more fun for us, especially for me, I think. 'Cause I always lost anyway. I mean, I'm not that good, you know. It was always more fun to play against the computer and like come up with in Smash Brothers or Perfect Dark, come up with like scenarios. We would like make these like scenarios with certain weapons or certain rules and stuff, and you know, we would name them certain things, and we'd do certain modes with Smash Brothers and with certain items and stuff. That was always fun. But you know, generally speaking, we fought against computer instead of each other. You know, like Mario Party, we had a rule that you couldn't use a ghost to steal a star from a human player. You were only allowed to steal from a computer.
Let's see if I can earn some more continues. I want to shoot the mailman.
Time Splitters is like the last like Time Splitters Future Perfect, which had online, is like the last time that I've ever put much time at all into a shooter online, you know, playing, you know, competitively, if you want to call it that.
So I'm up to 6 continues now. So I guess this is. I'm
most of the time, if I'm playing a modern game, you know, a shooter or whatever with an online mode, I rarely even test it. Do you?
Oh, very rarely.
Yeah.
Very rarely. I mean, I guess I played Halo 3 online competitively for a little bit, but that was, you know, it was a different time. And I guess I did with Gears of War 1 because I just like had a group of people that I played with all the time. I guess, you know, it was like kind of a combination of like co-op and not, I guess. Like it was fun against like co-oping with my friends, but like playing against random people. But by myself, no, definitely not.
I like playing MMOs in theory. You know, I have a lack of time to really put into Final Fantasy 14 these days, but
yeah,
I'd like to start getting back into it a little bit more. But I mean, and some of my fondest gaming memories were Final Fantasy 11. But again, that's all like player versus enemy stuff. Like,
right.
Like any like PvP type aspects in those games, zero interest in that. Zero interest. I mean, those are kind of separate modes. And I don't even know if Final Fantasy 11 has any PvP modes. Like there's like a PvP like arena that you can go to in Final Fantasy 14, but otherwise, like just like out in the world, there's no PvP type stuff.
Right.
And I know some people are like way into that aspect, but of, you know, a lot of other MMOs, but I don't want to ruin someone's day, you know. I'll go, you know, bash a monster though. That's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, don't say Final Fantasy 11 had a PV mode, unless they took it out. Because Final Fantasy 11 is still alive. Just so y'all know. I did install the Final Fantasy 11 Nasomi thing, and just like very, very briefly looked at it.
Was that something new?
I don't know how new it is. I don't think it's super new, but it's just a private server that I think is like circa maybe 2005 or 6 game content.
I wonder if you can just like stay ducked down or something like this and just shoot the people that come up.
I know a few people still playing Final Fantasy 11. I mean, you know, Final Fantasy 11 is like,
jeez.
I'm so glad that I had the experience with that game when I did, because I could never like do that right now. Like it's a game that, I mean, they've made it friendlier to your time even since I stopped playing, but in a lot of ways I feel like just how unfriendly it was with your time was what made it special. Because it's like, it was like a real commitment.
If you have a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, it was a real commitment to go from
you still get a lot of comments on that video you did on it. I mean, not a lot, but I mean, you do get comments every once in a while.
Yeah. But I mean, it's
It gets more
it
comments
was,
than Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus.
oh, thank goodness. um, but yeah, it's well, they had something similar to Gambits from 12. When was that? Like Seekers of Adeline era? Like I quit like right around the time that Seekers of Adeline came out. But it's just like the fact that it was like such a commitment at times to go from one end of the world to the other, like it made the world feel very real and tangible. And like I can't say that those were necessarily good design elements, but you know, something about the fact that it just made that world feel so alive and real, you know?
This guy seems like he's a little bit easier than previous bosses, but I don't know if there's something I'm just like not seeing. Oh, I got hit that time. I spoke too soon, I guess.
Bradley, I'm not too sure what you're talking about, but Smoke Monster should be here in the chat room if you wanted to ask him for more details.
About what?
He's asking something about, I guess, Smoke Monster said something about some sort of super.
Oh, yes. Smoke Monster did a really cool live stream last night talking about like super guns and consoleizing arcade hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely check that out if you can. Should be on his channel. Jeez.
Yeah, sure. That's exactly how it was. Like you got to be real good friends with your fellow players in Final Fantasy 11. You know, you really got to know people. And in 14, it's like you can do so much by yourself, which is, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that kind of game is easier to fit into your life, but it's also like it lacks that feeling that, you know, you get, that made you get so attached to the original. But again, you know, I couldn't do something like 11 again now. But man, it was, I mean, what a time it was. What a time it was.
I'm getting better. I saw someone say it seems like even though I'm playing on easy, it does seem like my reactions are getting faster.
Is this the boss of level 3?
Yes.
And there's 5 levels, you said?
I think there's 6.
I kind of want to pick up those grenades and throw them back like wild guns.
Yeah, they'd explode as soon as they hit, but it would be cool if that was an option. Let's see if I can get some more continues.
Do either of us have a favorite Dick Tracy story, if any? I know nothing about Dick Tracy. I am aware of the character. You know, I've seen clips of the movie here and there on TV long time ago. You know, with these pop-up things, like sometimes I feel like it's kind of hard to tell who's the good guys and who's the bad guys.
I know. Well, I mean, that's why
Like
it is so bad.
Some of the good guys don't look so nice themselves.
I didn't get any continues that time. Okay, of course, it's gonna be.
How do you choose which one you shoot?
It's A, B, and C. There's 3 of them.
Ah, okay.
Oh, the guys in blue, they take more than one hit, I think. Whoa. Good thing I got a... Jeez. Whew, man, this game is actually a bit tougher than I was kind of expecting.
No, you can't punch that guy when he's laying down.
No.
It's rough. It's too bad you can't crouch walk like Shinobi.
I know. Luckily, they don't do any damage when you touch them.
This looks way better than the NES version. Is there an NES game?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
I think it's supposed to be pretty bad.
I mean, this is probably a game you wouldn't have even really thought about getting if it wasn't for the fact that it's, you know, just an early era Genesis game.
Yeah, I know that it's always been considered pretty decent.
Right, but you probably wouldn't have really been drawn to it if I mean, just because, you know, you probably don't really think about the character that much.
Right. Jeez. Stab me in the face. It's tough. Like, if you let the guys build up, they're out for blood. Yeah, you definitely have to kill every single one of them.
Have we ever tried to get our hands on Super Nintendo PlayStation prototypes?
No.
To do a Game Punch comparison? No. I mean, I wouldn't have a lot of interest in doing that unless it just like kind of fell into my lap.
Yeah. It's.
I mean,
it's a lot, I'd be stressed out having it in my house.
I mean, I'm sure it's just. I'm pretty sure it's just a non-one chip system. It probably looks identical like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had an opportunity to do that, I would, but I wouldn't go out of my way, really, to be honest. I feel like the ship has kind of sailed on interest in that anyway, to some extent.
Well, I mean, it's cool, like, to see it in person. I mean, we saw it in person at the Missouri Game Con. It's cool. I mean, it's cool. It's interesting that, you know, the history behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely not as interested as I used to be.
Yeah.
The soundtrack in this is not too hot, I gotta say.
Is it
It's you know, it's just kind of like jazzy. It's like not too exciting.
the soundtrack in Dragon Egg was kind of bad.
Really?
Yeah, there were a couple of tracks that were actively like, yeah, this is kind of bad. You know, there's a couple of that are like, yeah, this is decent.
I wish you could like actually like hide behind things. That it feels like, jeez.
Trying to figure out if I want to buy an AV Famicom and an RGB mod for my OSSC, or want to get an AVS from Retro USB. I mean, I would go with the RGB mod. I mean, if you're already into the OSSC and RGB and stuff, I'd say that would be the way to go. If you weren't, I would say the AVS would be a great purchase. But I would go the RGB route myself if if I already kind of had the equipment for it.
Right. Oh, what did so I don't know if anybody noticed in the new episode how I did like the comparison shots, and it like does not use the RGB style I guess comparison graphics anymore. I think they were
I don't do this as much as you do, but you've tended to, for non-RGB episodes, kind of make a unique comparison sort of format anyway.
Right. But I think
you built one this time though that is intended to be reusable.
Yes. Yeah, I can see us kind of doing. I think that the old comparison with the like I like to call it like the scanline prism. I feel like we might just go for more plain ones. They're easier to render, when it comes down to it, and it's just quicker to render, really.
Yeah, I'm tired of the old window. I mean, I have been for a long time, but I just haven't got around to making anything new. So I'm going to try to. You kind of designed it in such a way where the background could easily be changed. So I'll try to come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, I think
4K. It's 4K, so it would be good to do it now since the 4K episode will be in 4K.
Right. I just think it's easier to kind of get an idea of what's going on. Like this one, it's Genesis themed. Like, how do you even get to that guy without even? I am gonna like this game is pretty tough. Like what do I even do? There.
Have you beaten Master System Shinobi before?
Yeah, a long time ago. I don't when I was young.
Yeah, do you remember how hard it was?
It was pretty hard. It's specifically like the boss with the all the different statues and they spin around. I remember that being the hardest part of the game.
Yeah, well, Drum did the arcade version during the
arcade version. I know he was having trouble with it because it's especially brutal because even in the arcade version you can't continue on the last stage. Once you game over.
Right.
It,
so he played on the Wii. There's an option for 240 lives.
Oh,
and so
really?
he took count of how many continues he'd earned through his system, and determined it was, I think, something like 39 lives that he should have. And so he beat the game that way, keeping track of 39 lives within 240.
Right. Interesting.
And yeah, to get around that last level no continue issue, because that's kind of a load of crap. But yeah, the Master System version, I played a little bit of it at the end of yesterday on the marathon because I finished Dragon Egg and didn't really have time to do anything else, so I thought it'd be fun to play a little Master System Shinobi since Drum was playing the arcade version. It's surprisingly similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
when I did check,
but
I did see you playing it for a second. And you were using the FM soundtrack at the time.
Yeah, and I thought it was just because I was running this audio extension from these, little Amazon speakers, and those did sound a little not great, but I realized I thought it was just because of that at first, but yeah, it was. I don't even know if that game has FM sound. Maybe that's why it sounded weird.
No, it does.
Yeah, well, it sounded awful, really awful. Like I can't think of I can't think of any FM sound that I've heard that I would like more than the regular sound. Well, I can't, to be honest, I can't even think of that much FM sound that I even like. Period. Like, it's just something about that sound. Like,
it's too smooth sounding. I think that's always
something about it's just weird. It's really off in my opinion.
The bosses take a long time in this, but they're definitely like maybe the easiest part to kind of figure it out. There you go. I just killed Prune Face.
Well, like, it takes a bunch of shots for just one bit of the health bar to go down.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
What's wrong?
Oh, shoot.
So you're about to go into level 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's hard. It's tough to get all this. No credits. See, geez. Like, once you get to that point, it's pretty tough. There's 10 bad guys. Didn't get any credits. Uh-oh. Big boys put a contract out on him. Ooh, I see start up here this time. Changing it up. The guys are on the bottom. That's actually kind of cool. It's kind of a cool twist to it.
You need to get
I wonder
out.
if the Japanese version is like harder than the American version.
Who knows?
It wouldn't be unheard of.
Okay, Sandy, I'll take you out.
That makes it easier to deal with the guys that are ducking. The sandbags there. I've been abandoned. Not for too long. I think what you gotta do is just kind of take this real slow. Maybe not that slow. I was not expecting this to be as difficult as it is, though. Stands right up in the bullets. Well, how do I... Okay, I guess he can reload when he's laying down. Well, how do I... Yeesh.
All right, how's it going?
It's going all right. I mean, it's challenging. I bet you these are... It's definitely pretty challenging. I feel like I'm not going to make... These jumps are not that far, but I feel like my jumps are... make it more difficult than what it is.
Yeah, you don't exactly have a lot of momentum with those jumps.
Right. Yep. Just like that. It's tough. I mean, there's a lot going on sometimes. It's hard to tell.
But it's an interesting game. I mean, you know, the whole background element like really adds an element that a lot of other shooters don't have.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that guy ever gonna stand up? That red guy?
He doesn't. I gotta like bump into him basically.
Huh, I wonder if there's another way to get him.
I don't know. I think the key is to like just take everything super slow and kill everybody. Don't let them gang up on you. Did it.
So you gonna bring some game buying cash to Too Many Games? I know you're not gonna be looking for anything in particular.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I always see stuff like, oh, it'd be cool to get that. But I think
You know what I'd like to find? I mean, you know, I don't have anything crazy on my mind. Like a couple of games I just want to get. I want to get Bomberman Hero and Legendary Axe 2.
Oh yeah, makes sense. That's some good stuff.
I feel like those are pretty likely finds at Too Many Games. I also want to get Bomberman 64. Next time I see a decent copy for the right price, I'll probably get that too. I had an opportunity to have that, and I didn't keep it.
Like, how do I even look at that? There's no way to even get around that. Okay, so you can only stay on top of the car for so long. So I gotta wait until like the bullet gets real close so I can't get to him. It's a challenging game. I was not expecting it to be so difficult. Oh, interesting. I can.
So in the chat, Kevin McQuarrie has been dropping Dick Tracy trivia.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if he's been intentionally doing this, but I just noticed that he just got a comment held for review. And I noticed that in his earlier comments, he said things like "this guy," "this character," or just Tracy.
Oh, it's every time because Dick gets.
Then the last most recent comment said Dick Tracy, and it was held for review. So I wonder if it's like consistently holding.
Yes, it's consistently holding Dick.
Yeah.
Well, nothing we can do about it. I mean, I guess I could change the filter, but I won't do that until like after the stream.
I don't know if it's always holding it or not though. if there might be something else in the context.
Probably not. It just seems like that's something that would get flagged.
I mean, if it does an audio analysis, it might determine that this stream is not suitable for most reviewers.
Well, it is what it is. Okay, boss.
I am interested in Bomberman Second Attack,
No,
but
it is.
it's also
flat
kind
top.
of expensive.
Eat lead, copper. It's really the other guy isn't seen that. He's a little tough. It's like the other enemies are the things that make it tougher. Jeez. You just have to juggle so much stuff going on at one time. Because, you know, like just the regular thugs come on screen.
Yeah, it's interesting that this is like basically the exact same layout as the previous boss fight in this similar restaurant.
Like the level before last.
Yeah, but when you're just going down a city street, it's a little, you know, it's a little more acceptable, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, some Sega games in the era did that, like Shinobi on Master System. Well, maybe not so much that. I can't think of what I was. Moonwalker is what I'm thinking of. Like, you know, there's, you know, what, 3 or 4 levels in each world, and they look like basically the same throughout the whole world, you know?
Yeah.
Dragon Egg, you know, kind of had a little bit of an unfinished feel to it, I thought. Like a couple of the later levels were surprisingly short. And all of the boss fights had the exact same arena design.
So he shoots back and forth. Okay.
So I wonder if it was kind of rushed. I wonder if this game will have credits and if Marc Cerny will be in them.
Well, I'm extremely curious, but I feel like I'm not going to make it.
You don't think so? How many containers do you have left?
2.
So you didn't buy that Monster World?
I did not buy it. I mean, I would have bought it for. Oh no, I didn't buy that or the Wonder Boy 3.
Or the Monster World 5, or
Right.
Monster World, Wonder Boy 5, Monster World 3.
Right.
How much was that?
That was 40,
Yeah.
and the Wonder Boy 3 was 50.
40 would have been a little too much, but I would have done for maybe 30 or under.
Right.
Like, I would have been interested in that too. Where did I get the shirt / stuffed animal? That is, well, I mean, I made, well, I didn't make them, but I put them into mass production. They are sold on backloggery.com. It's sort of the anti-mascot of backloggery.com. And I've got like probably about 200 more of them after
Oh, geez.
5 years, I think we've had them. Or maybe actually be, gosh, maybe closer to 6 years? It might be 6 years. Jeez. The shirt though, with the same character on it was well, it was not exactly print on demand. It wasn't print on demand. We had like a set number made. But these are long gone, the shirts.
Just like the thugs just like really mess you up. Like mess up the timing of everything. Then the lights go out. I don't know if you saw that happen or not.
I don't think I was paying attention to that part. It's tough, I gotta say. What do you think you're gonna do if
I'm not gonna.
Not gonna do another run?
No, but maybe I'll do an attempt in the middle of the day for lunch tomorrow.
Oh, maybe so.
That might be a good.
That'll be a Twitch thing.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking at the same time. It's like maybe I should try streaming to Facebook, to the Facebook page. I mean, you never know. Might be fun to try, but I bet you I could do like.
I think it'd be more worth our. I think it'd be more worth our while to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Man, I'm falling apart. This is my last continue.
Build a little audience there. It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Right.
But you know, the mainstream will always be YouTube. Or I mean, I say always be YouTube. I mean, for now, there's no compelling reason to make the mainstream not YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be. It'll be Twitch.
Twitch is more casual and just for fun, really.
We can call it the unfinished business stream.
The unfinished business. I like that. Unfinished business stream. That'd be Euphoria would go well on there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, like if depending on your schedule, some days you can do it too.
Yeah, I would like to get. I really need to get into a better schedule and groove in general. But like I always feel like I've like got some project that I have to like focus on, and I can like never like allot that good free time for myself. You know.
Right.
I need to.
If I die and I run out of continues, I'm gonna play Snatcher for a minute.
Oh.
Right? You know, have you ever really seen it in action before?
I really haven't.
Yeah.
Like the most I know about that game is like the sprite on the 240p test suite is from that, right?
Right. Well, no, that's from SD Snatcher.
Oh, okay.
I think that's on the MSX.
Who did the translation for Snatcher? Like it feels like a game that would be like out of character for localization at that time.
Well, I mean, it's Konami. It's published by Konami. There's a lot of Konami stuff in it, just in general. But you know, it's cool because it has like the typical like really like pretty decent voice acting that like most Kojima games like had. You know.
Well, I mean, would you compare the quality of the voice acting to Metal Gear Solid, or is it not quite to that level?
Well, I mean, it's not quite to that level, but I mean, in a lot of ways it is because it's just like.
I mean, I almost think of, I kind of tend to think of Metal Gear Solid as like kind of the start of the tipping point for video game voice acting. Like, if that makes sense, like in terms of like
When
a
things started
notable, thing like a notable uptick in quality,
Well,
and
I mean,
like it being taken like seriously.
yeah, I mean, I felt that the Working Designs games also had very good voice acting. I mean, not all of them, but I mean, a good amount of them did. It's obvious that they were getting people that knew how to do voice acting to do them.
Right, but I feel like though with Metal Gear Solid though, like it being kind of like a, more of a realistic type game rather than, most of Working Designs games had more of an anime sort of aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I don't know, like the tone, like being able to do the tone of Metal Gear Solid. That was, that kind of tone being done well, like, hadn't happened much up to that point. To my knowledge. Like, and especially not that much voice, that quantity of voice.
Right.
Not as well as it was.
I'm thinking, like, if you shoot him in the head, if it kills him faster.
Right, Ryan Pliskin. I'd say that's a good way to put it. It was the first time good voice acting became notable in gaming, not the first example of good acting. Absolutely. But just it feels like the moment where that started becoming not entirely unusual. I feel like it's the beginning of the modern era of video game voice acting.
There it is. Big boy takes over the town. Game over.
That said, I do have a very big soft spot for bad voice acting. In some cases, bad voice acting can be better than good voice acting.
Yeah. The Genesis jail bars are very apparent on the title screen for this game.
Ah.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, we've got audio. We've got SCART cables that have a headphone jack embedded in it. So yeah, we run the audio out of the headphone jack that way. Yeah, I've never played Snatcher. I mean, in general, I don't like make a lot of effort to play games that I don't have. We got plenty of games to play. I sure as heck don't have Snatcher. I wish I did. But I'll burn the odd disc here and there, but I don't generally.
See, Ryan Pliskin is asking if we're ever going to finish that Resident Evil 5 run. I do like the idea of like an unfinished business stream, that kind of happens during like,
and that's really what it would be. It'd be unfinished games for the most part, probably.
Yeah.
Well, Resident Evil 5 is far from unfinished.
Right, but we could play like a chapter a day for a week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I'm ready to jump onto that bandwagon because I just really need to get this 4K episode
Well, I
done. But
mean,
after that, I really want to like try to take a more measured and consistent approach, I guess. Like, you know, just schedule my life better.
yeah.
You can play this game with a light gun, right?
Yeah. There's shooting sections in it. I'll see if I can turn on the audio so you can hear it a little bit.
Is the music similar in style to Metal Gear? Or is it kind of different?
What? Is the music similar?
The Metal Gear.
Not really. Can you hear that at all?
A little bit when you don't talk.
Lucifer Alpha, a powerful biological weapon under secret development there, is released into the atmosphere, creating
I don't know if it's echoing into the, if there's like a lag going into the sound or not. We'll see.
spreads throughout Eastern Europe and Eurasia, destroying
I don't know. I'm gonna let the intro play because it's kind of awesome. Even though people in the chat probably have seen it in one way or another.
known simply as the catastrophe. But at this time,
But the music is not anything like.
that the ultimate
It's very much significant, like similar to what you'd hear in
50 years
in
Yeah, I mean,
1994.
This is gonna be big time Metal Gear vibes.
mysterious
Yeah.
android life form. Its purpose and origin are unknown.
I mean, the voice acting sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
An invasion from some other world. They appear during winter, killing humans and infiltrating
I think you'd really like this game, even though like I don't know how into like visual novel style things you are, but I mean it's just a good story, and you know
They're almost impossible
it's
I mean,
like you
I
can't
love-
really mess
I love-
up. But it's I mean except for on the shooting sections you can die.
I love Phoenix Wright. I mean, I can play visual novel esque things when they work for me. You know.
Yeah, well I mean you should burn a copy of this and play it. But I guess I kind of, you know, one of the reasons I got this is because, you know, like, the chances of it really coming out for anything else is just smaller and smaller by the day, I guess. I mean, I guess they could,
Tommy's kind of situation.
and they'd probably redo the whole like all the voiceovers and everything.
Oh yeah. Would that ruin it for you?
I don't know, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, not all the music is Red Book in this. I don't know if you can hear this. It's very heavily Blade Runner inspired, like especially apparent right here.
So it takes place in Japan.
Yeah, Neo Kobe. But I mean, you see this screen right here, you can tell like how close to Blade Runner this is. I don't know if how far behind you are or not.
Oh yeah, you got the pyramid.
Yeah.
I like how it's not FMV. You know, because Sega CD FMV is not great.
Yeah.
Doesn't Rocket Knight Adventures make a cameo? I don't know, does he?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of Konami characters make a cameo in this bar called Outer Heaven.
Ah.
There's like the Contra guys are there and Simon Belmont's there. I'm pretty sure Sparkster is there, yeah.
Is it one disc or two?
It's one.
How long is it?
Gosh, I would say like maybe it's like maybe like it. I remember as a kid, like took me like 3 days to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just like after school and from like probably like 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock playing it.
Creator Hideo Kojima.
I mean, look it up on how long to beat. I mean, I honestly don't remember.
How many times have you played it?
I played it through, I think, 3 total times. But I mean, the last time I played through it was probably like 1996, probably. Okay, so it's like 8 to 10 hours.
7.5 hours. Looks like 8 hours. It's not super short.
No, I mean, I'm surprised I didn't have still have my save games on my RAM card. I was a little disappointed. Like, why would I ever? I guess I'm just surprised.
Why would you ever what?
Why I wouldn't have any save games for it backed up onto my RAM card, even if I didn't have the game. Usually I keep the saves.
Mm.
Yes, but I can sense that there is something terrible hidden in our past. And if we remember it, it will destroy us.
But I mean, like even playing this like at day one, like I guess I knew nothing about it. Like I just knew that it looked really cool and it was by Konami, and magazines had talked about it, like the releases in Japan. And it came out and I immediately went and got it, but like I didn't know anything about it.
Kojima wasn't really much of a name at this time.
No.
So that had nothing to do with why you even wanted it.
He and his wife, Jamie Seed, are taken into protective custody in the Siberian neutral zone by the 17th Siberian Investigative Force.
I mean, it's just an interesting thing to think about. Like,
From severe amnesia, their memories of events
it's just like one of the many ways that like the game magazines that I read at the time really shaped my opinion of what I knew. Like, even at that time, I kind of knew what I liked, and I knew, like, I saw something like, oh, I would like that. But even
What's SD Snatcher? Is it like is it like the same story but just different art?
I think so. Everything's like super deformed. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know too much about Detroit Become Human, but Land fan in the chat saying it's like it's crazy we get games like Detroit Become Human because it's like the same basic format. It's the Konami Omni building, aka the Junker headquarters.
It's funny that there's like a Sony building there.
But it's a Sega building.
Yeah, but I think I saw a Sony one too.
But it's all like menu driven. You can like just look at things and get more information. Looking at certain things opens up other options. It's cool. Like it's a very kind of it's like a fleshed out world. It is as much as you want to like learn from it. But there is a lot of voice acting in this game. It's Mika Slayton.
I'm Gillian Seed. I've been assigned to Junker headquarters effective today.
Oh, you're Mr. C. Please forgive me. My name is Mika Slayton. I'm the administrative assistant and operator here at Junker headquarters. Very pleased to meet you.
But this was a game that my brother and I played through, and it didn't happen very often. But we were hooked at the time.
Mm.
But I mean, not everything is voice acted. But there's a lot of reading. But I mean, like you said, you did like Ghost Trick, and it's. I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean, I like stuff like this.
I think I would really be interested to see your feelings on this. You should burn a copy of it and play it. I mean, you could do it in a couple nights.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game I would like to play.
You can call me Gillian, Mika.
Okay, Gillian. I'll open the main door and show you around headquarters.
There was a couple of MSX Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2s at the show yesterday. At the same table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How much?
450 each.
Yikes.
Yeah, but I mean,
Chief Cunningham, Gillian Seed is here. I brought him in as you requested.
Thanks for coming, Seed.
look at that mustache though. That's great.
Chief of Junker Operations.
Gillian Seed. I've been transferred here from the 17th Special Forces Division.
I've heard all about your special training in the military, Seed. I hope you'll put it to good use on your new assignment here. By the way, I understand you're suffering from amnesia.
By the way, I understand you're suffering from amnesia.
I'm afraid not. I still can't remember a thing
Well,
before
there certainly couldn't be anything
You're married, aren't you?
mysterious and surprising about his past.
Yeah.
Without any memories between the two of us, I'm afraid there was very little to base a good relationship on.
I can see your point there.
But if you let it sit, like once there's no voice acting going on, like it actually stops spinning the disc.
Huh.
You can always tell the disc isn't spinning when the ready light on the Sega CD is flashing, the green one. I want to get the Metal Gear here. It would be interesting though to kind of see what the localization process was for this, because it is significantly more in depth than a lot were at the time.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, they have the extra room for that much more text, so they.
Yeah, I mean, you think of point and click adventures at the time, but especially Japanese ones weren't often localized, and those that were, I clearly wouldn't have had this much text or voice.
Right.
Now, is
Aaron Welch?
Is Police Knots kind of in the same universe, or is it different?
Honestly, I think that's probably a better question for the chat, because I honestly don't know. I just know that at the time it was kind of like in magazines it was like, oh, it's a sequel, but it was like it's
Police Knots came after Snatcher.
It came out after Snatcher, yes, but I'm not sure if it's a prequel or if it's in the same universe or what, because based on what I've played of Police Knots, it definitely has a different feel to it, but it also doesn't feel like.
Is it the same gameplay format?
Yeah, but that one's more of a like a point and click.
Ah.
You don't just like pull from a menu. You hang on, Chief's not finished. I don't know how to make him finish.
Riffwell, if Snatcher's in the Metal Gear universe, it would take place well after Metal Gear. I don't think there would be much proof of that in the later Metal Gear games.
I guess I can't. But I can never unsee the picture in here.
The picture?
Yeah, the painting that he has. It's like a major plot point later on, and then once you know about it, it's like you'll always see it like right away.
Is it the picture on the wall in the background?
Yeah.
Is it like do you see a vase or do you see two faces thing?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it comes into play like later on, but I like, I mean, before the internet, I had never seen an actual picture like this, kind of like about Two Faces. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I'm just like investigating. I'm not really even reading anything. It's the latest in robot sofas.
Robot sofas.
Employing chaos system technology. It's a robot sofa.
No. I guess if that's what it is, that's what it is.
In the future, there will be robot sofas. But there's a ton of detail, you know, like it's like something I see Ryan Pliskin's talking, you know, Kojima he was crazy about like the little details back then even.
Yeah.
You know? The more information you can give on something. He's not done talking. How do you make him be done talking? General purpose monitor using both liquid crystal display, LCD, and plasma display, PDD technology. I mean, is that like a real term, you think?
It might have been. I mean, you know, I mean, when I read that line, like, just like read that in Colonel Campbell's voice in your head. You know, even the parts in parentheses, you know, because you know, Colonel Campbell always has to like go in all these long, drawn out monologues about just like technology and stuff, and like say what the acronyms for everything is, and you know, all of this stuff.
I'm just trying to get out of here a second. Oh, here we go. Usually just got to go through every like option.
Make your duties as a junker quite clear. This is your junker ID card. It will identify you as a junker. Carrying it allows you to exercise your special authority.
I can exercise my special authority.
Like a police officer's badge, huh?
Can you screw yourself over, or is there kind of just like only one way forward?
There's only one way forward, as far as I know.
Credit cards aren't accepted in some regions of the city. You'll need this sooner or later.
Sounds like it's a rough place out there.
Go see Harry, the engineer. He's got your equipment ready for you.
Are we testing a secret update for the Super NT? We are not. I'll show you what the shooting parts look like. Oh, we gotta go see Harry. So it's just like an up, down, left, right, diagonal type thing. It's like a 3x3 grid.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more fun with the justifier.
It's probably quicker with the D-pad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some difficult shooting parts later on. I do it perfectly. A perfect score. Let's go see Harry.
Metal Gear Ghost Babel. You know, I almost bought that a couple years back.
I know. I saw like a complete copy yesterday, but it was like $80. I mean, I really do want to play it.
Yeah, I've generally heard people say it's bad, but I've also heard a few people say it's actually good.
Yeah, I've heard it's.
And you know, most say what?
I've heard that it's good. I mean, most places.
I mean, most people say that Resident Evil Gaiden is bad, and I suspect they've never played it because Resident Evil Gaiden is actually freaking great. It's great.
I thought it was. Maybe it's a computer room I gotta go to. Or maybe not. Maybe it's in here. Well, where is Harry? He's gotta be back by now.
Oh, good. Harry's back.
Great to meet you. You're Gillian Seed, right?
I always like
Haven't we met somewhere before?
how Harry looks. He always looks like he's like leaning on something, but he's not.
Really? I guess I must be imagining things.
Classic Gaming Quarters like, yeah, the Japanese version of Dick Tracy is more like Snatcher. I game overed in Snatcher. I made it to like the second to last level, and I game overed. So we're just wrapping up with Snatcher for a minute.
I know. All right, allow me to introduce the Navigator, which I designed especially for you. Hey, Metal Gear, get out here.
But it's like
Metal Gear.
it's like it's the classic Metal Gear design, you know, like before there's any like wrecks or anything like that.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, check out that dither shadow.
I am Metal
Yeah.
Gear Mark II. I am programmed to be your personal
Oh, it's Metal Gear Mark II.
Metal
Yep.
Gear? That's a pretty weird name.
Metal Gear.
Thank you.
I think he's turning red. I took his basic design and his name from the Metal Gear Menace of the late 20th century. But quite unlike that Metal Gear, this one was designed for peaceful purposes.
That's pretty funny.
Does that make you want to play it even more, kind of?
Yeah, it definitely does. Metal Gear.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's important to realize, like, at the time, it was like Metal Gear was like not a thing in the U.S. especially.
Yeah.
You know, there was like, I mean, there's the NES game, and then there was like, I mean, Snake's Revenge didn't even have Metal Gear in the name.
Did it not?
I don't think so. I mean, it wasn't Snake's Revenge Metal Gear 2. I think it was just called Snake's Revenge. So I mean, that was years before this. This came out in '94. When did Snake's Revenge come out?
I don't know.
Like 1988, probably. So I mean, it's a long time, really.
What, 88 for Snake's Revenge? That sounds early to me. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's Snake's Revenge is retconned out of canon because it's like it doesn't matter. But really,
well, I don't know if retconned out can is the word.
it just like
I mean,
never existed in it. I don't think. Like maybe in like Konami
America.
America's eyes, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Don't panic yourself. Yeah, I got it right over here. This is your blaster, the official weapon of a junker. It's got full user feedback circuitry, adjusting itself to
Pretty
your
sure this is
attitude.
the shot that everyone knows.
This is like so, you know, the way he's explained everything is like so Metal Gear sounding, you know,
Yeah.
like playing the gun and everything.
Unbelievably light.
You
Listen.
bet it is. This ain't one of those ray guns the Army uses. She's put together with the latest carbon polymers and ceramics, not affected by heat one bit. And her ergonomic design optimizes both functionality and firepower.
Yeah, this is so Metal Gear.
Take it.
It definitely really does make me want to play it. Like just like I just love Kojima's like wordiness. It's like it's so stupid, but it's also kind of so good, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like there's something to it. I mean, there's just no one makes something like Kojima, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very apparent that Kojima was a big James Cameron fan.
Mm.
I have a video phone call from Jean-Jacques Gibson coming in. Connecting.
Junker HQ, this is Gibson. I've cornered a probable male snatcher. I'm in the abandoned factory in the M district. Request immediate backup.
Gillian, that means you. You better head out right away. Jean needs your help.
It's my first day on the job.
Hurry. We'll use a turbo cycle to travel to the scene.
The turbo cycle.
Be careful, Gillian.
But I mean, you can get like more and more detail.
This is a turbo cycle.
You know, like you can just like keep on asking for more detail and stuff.
Three-wheeled ground travel, it is capable of hovering and high-speed flight. The vehicle is also VTOL capable, so takeoffs and landings in narrow areas present no difficulty.
A flying tricycle, huh? I just came in one of these things.
We have been assigned this vehicle for use in our investigations.
Let's enter the turbo cycle. It makes me want to play through it myself again, 'cause it's been so long. I mean, I remember the basic plot points, but there's so much stuff that I don't.
But Ryan Plisk's saying this came out in '88.
Abandoned factory.
Like I guess the original version. I don't even know what all systems it was released on.
Oh yeah, I mean the original might have.
Wow, it did come out in '88. That's crazy.
My first day on the job, and now this.
Oh, I didn't know that there was a PC Engine version.
Yeah.
I wonder if this guy really is a snatcher. Guess I'll find out now if all that training really paid off.
I mean, the reason this version is such a big deal is because it's the only version in English. But how are the PlayStation and Saturn versions considered?
I don't know. I don't really know too much about them. Got that parallax.
Sega CD version is mostly just a port of the PC Engine remake with a few changes.
So is this? I mean, is the what is the Saturn version add? I wonder.
Huh?
I wonder what the Saturn version and PlayStation version adds.
I can't hear you.
Oh, I wonder what it adds to. Oh, is the music too loud?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's just that, like it cuts in and out like when you're talking.
I'm trying to get a sense.
I mean, I can't hear you when it's loud.
Is there a PlayStation 1 version or is there not? For some reason I thought there was.
According to Wikipedia, there's a PlayStation 1 version. I mean,
A male scream. Perhaps something is
it
happening.
looks pretty similar. The
Gideon, please
character
quickly
portraits
focus.
look redone.
Multiple moving objects within the factory. This could indicate the presence of snatchers or insectors.
It's hard to tell what it really looks like though,
What in the world's that?
because the
Used by snatchers as security devices.
video I was looking at was pretty blurry.
Yeah. That is a lot of different versions. I didn't realize it was on quite that many.
Yeah, it's just this was the only English version. That's why it's a big deal.
Many people dislike how the art was redone on the Saturn and PlayStation 1.
But to be fair, I assume much of this art is redone from the original releases as well.
Yeah.
But
The graffiti
this
on the wall just says, "Die punk." Oh, it's his Metal Gear. What the?
It's Little John.
Little John?
Yes, Jean-Jacques Gibson's personal navigator.
I love it. Little John. You know, I mean, he just talks like Snake. You know, it's like everything's in question. Like,
Yeah.
like most of his dialogue is the last thing that the previous person said in the form of a question. You know.
Oh, there it is.
Dear God.
Is that famous?
Yeah. Well, I always thought his head's been twisted completely off. He's still warm. His head has been twisted off. He died instantly. It would take incredible strength to do this. So comfortably quiet. I don't care about my items.
Had you played the original Metal Gear at this point?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I thought it was really cool at the time. I mean, playing this and be like, you know, like I understand that. I understand where this name comes from.
Right.
I mean, especially since it was, you know, quite some time beforehand, but you know, like just not like generally like well known, like especially on a Sega platform from a Nintendo, you know.
Mhm.
But all right, it's almost 11:30. I'm gonna wrap it up. I feel like I just wanna do this part. Maybe I gotta
Sam,
leave.
What are you eating?
And there's not really any crazy loading in this at all.
That's good.
Yeah.
I
Going
mean, it does look pretty amazing. I have to admit.
Yeah.
Like it really does have that Kojima vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Like I always had a hard time wrapping my head around like, you know,
How people could tell.
Well, how would Kojima's style even work on Sega CD? But it does, you know? I mean, it is Kojima through and through here.
Yeah. But it was because of this, that I bought Metal Gear Solid like day one.
Yeah. I remember Tenchu and Metal Gear Solid coming out around the same time. And, I did not have any prior knowledge of Metal Gear at the time. And when that came out, I remember Metal Gear Solid was really hyped, but then when it came out, it was like, people were like, oh, but it's really short. And a friend of mine decided to buy Tenchu instead of Metal Gear Solid because of how short people said Metal Gear Solid was. He later got Metal Gear Solid, but he bought Tenchu first. And I remember him saying, like, I'm really glad I chose Tenchu over Metal Gear Solid.
That was when I was working at Electronics Boutique at the time, and I bought Metal Gear. I was hang on, let me turn it down so you can actually hear me a little bit. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I bought Metal Gear Solid like day one, but borrowed, signed it out, Tenchu. And I played all the way through Tenchu, and I later bought it.
I always thought just the view distance in that game was really funny because like you see like 6 or 8 squares in front of you.
Yeah.
Like before it fades into the dark. That's a series that I really want to kind of investigate a little. Like I played a little bit of Tenchu back in the day, but not much. But I've always kind of had a curiosity to try a little more. I'm not sure what the best one is considered. I feel like 2 maybe, but
of what of Tenchu?
Tenchu, yeah.
No, I think 2 is like considered the worst.
Oh, 2's considered the worst. Okay.
3 might be considered the best, but 2 or 1 was really good, then 2 was like not very good, and then 3 kind of goes back to 1.
I'm not sure if From Software did the original. They like kind of took over the series, but I'm not sure if they were the original developer.
People asking about Japanese Dick Tracy. I played through to the died on the second to last boss. I might be doing a unfinished business stream tomorrow. I love the idea of that, because then we can wrap up the games we don't finish the night before, and it doesn't even have to be that it can be anything. Like I lost my train of thought. It can be anything we want, but I mean, if we I'm at a loss for words. I don't know. Forget it. But yeah, I might do that tomorrow. But other than that, is that going to do it for this week? I'm glad everyone enjoyed the episode this week.
Yeah.
It was fun to do. And I just kept on adding stuff to it.
We'll just be getting back into our thing, I guess, and working on the episodes we're working on.
Yeah, it's back to portable EverDrives for me, but I mean, I might have enough time to even do some other stuff in the meantime, but we'll see. All right, everybody. Good night.
Good night.